Hi, and welcome to this live reading from Love's Full Circle by Cherry Christensen, and this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Prologue, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Kayden winced as the firecrackers exploded, scattering sparks into the air. Sitting beside her, Liam had been shooting off strong sparks of his own. She diverted her attention away from the living room window, taking care to avoid eye contact with him. Shifting her weight, Kayden's long hair fell forward as she reached for another college brochure. "Let me help you," Liam offered. He brushed the strands aside, curling them lazily around his tanned fingers. Kayden flinched when he unwound the ringlet and kissed her on the neck. His breath caressed her skin like a warm summer's breeze until she eased away, fixating on his dreamy slate eyes. She swallowed and swept her gaze upward to his golden blonde hair, now a shade lighter from the sun, swooped enticingly across his forehead. "It's our senior year, Kayden," Liam whispered. "Why don't we start making some memories?" He leaned in, his hand stroking her leg below the frayed hemline of her jean shorts. "Michigan!" Kayden declared. She wriggled free and slid to the other end of his parents' love seat. Liam leered at her. "What?" "U of M, go blue and hail to the victors." Kayden snatched the University of Michigan brochure off the coffee table. She opened it and pointed to a small photo of the football stadium. "The big house. Wouldn't it be cool to be a Wolverine?" she rambled, hoping Liam would stop staring at her with his stormy eyes appearing to change from slate to steely gray by the second. Kayden gulped hard as Liam slid easily across the leather cushions to her side. He plucked the brochure from her hand and flung it into the air. "I don't care about the maize and blue. All I care about is us, right here and now." His exploring fingers trailed along Kayden's shoulder past the strap of her apricot-colored tank top, moving tenderly toward the crook of her elbow. Finally, his hand slowed, coming to rest dangerously close to her chest. Kayden trembled when Liam paused, seemingly to gauge her reaction. A smug smile twisting at his lips, he slowly shifted his gaze to the abstinence bracelet dangling on her wrist. Did it taunt him with its simple inscription, "I'm worth the wait"? Kayden seethed, wary of Liam's hand hovering above her breast, threatening to violate her body. His finger inched closer, and she jabbed him in the ribs with her elbow. "What is your problem?" Liam shouted. "Me? You're the one with an issue, Liam Pierce," Kayden spat back. "Evidently your brain can't remember from one day to the next that I'm saving myself for my husband." She leapt to her feet. Liam grinned and patted the cushion. "Hey, they don't call it a love seat for nothing, so why don't you sit back down and let me love you?" Kayden's nostrils flared. Yet as maddening and arrogant as he could be at times, she still found herself drawn to him. Drawn to his boyish good looks and suave charm, which tended to overshadow his sensitive, intelligent side. Drawn to his pouty lips, silently begging her to join him again on the love seat. Liam took her hand in his. "That's better. You need to be concentrating on colleges instead of me, and quit skipping your advanced placement classes. Colleges frown upon slackers." "I'm not a slacker. I don't go because English literature and chemistry aren't interesting." Kayden squeezed his hand. "Well, boring or not, you need them for your college applications." Frowning, she studied the telltale expression on his face, the one that revealed he was tuning her out. It reminded her of the look her Grandma Flora got when battling constipation. "Liam," she cooed, "would you like me to go into the kitchen and get you a nice cold glass of prune juice?" He hugged her to him. "Oh, that's funny, but I hear physical activity helps loosen things up." Kayden giggled, but he hastily stifled her laughter with his mouth. Against her better judgment, she relaxed in Liam's arms, enjoying the flood of sensations coursing through her. "I love you, Kayden James," Liam breathed between gentle pecks. Kayden sensed him testing the waters further when he kissed her throat, and then a little lower. Once he maneuvered within striking distance, Liam angled his head and bit back the lacy collar of her tank top with his pearly white teeth. "Liam, don't," she urged. "Please, don't do this." He released the fabric. "I thought you loved me." "I do," Kayden affirmed, "but I can't, we can't." Her words broke off as his eyes darkened again. "I see." Liam withdrew, and seconds ticked away until he pointed toward the front door. "Get out." You can't mean that," she stammered, her lower lip quivering. "Well, I do. You're a prude. So why don't you forget about college and go join a nunnery?" With shaky hands, Kayden unclasped the chain on the locket he had given her as a birthday present and opened it. She flicked one last glance at the photo of them enjoying a beautiful summer sunset together at Lookout Park in Grand Rapids, Michigan, their hometown. She ran her finger along the silvery edge, reflecting on how they'd spent nearly every waking moment together during summer vacation, swimming in Lake Michigan, kayaking on the Grand River, or camping with friends at Grand Haven State Park. He'd even convinced her to try parasailing when they visited his grandpa in Traverse City. With Liam by her side, she had risen 800 feet into the air above East Grand Traverse Bay, his smile calming her fears while they reveled in the breathtaking views. Now, however, that same reassuring smile was nothing but a memory, as he scowled at her with venom festering in those grayish-blue eyes. Kayden thrust the necklace at him. Here. Keep it. Liam placed the locket in the palm of her hand. I don't need nor want any reminders of us. Kayden choked back the lump in her throat and headed for the door. She stepped outside into the brick porch. The fading summer sun warmed her shoulders as she mumbled into the air between them. I guess I'm not worth the wait. Without replying, he shut the door on their love forever. Chapter 1, Denver, Colorado, 15 years later. Kayden stared out her office window, sipping a cup of caramel-flavored coffee as the sun rose above Civic Center Park. The Greek amphitheater gleamed in the distance, highlighted by flowers in shades of yellow, pink, and orange blooming in the formal gardens. Tree leaves swayed gently in the light summer breeze along with the American flag, rippling its stripes patriotically in front of the state capitol building across the street. Downtown Denver is simply beautiful in June, she thought, gazing out from the 7th floor of Elway Plaza. A young businesswoman wearing a navy blue skirt and jacket similar to her own tossed a penny into the fountain below. Kayden frowned, wondering whether the woman wished for Mr. Wright to come along. Yet another similarity between two perfect strangers. Kayden took another sip of coffee while the city burst to life with pedestrians and traffic bustling through the heart of the business district in the early morning hours. It was shaping up to be another hectic day. Fortunately, the weekend would be uneventful and she'd be at home lounging on the couch with her cat and laptop, writing her new book. She sighed, realizing she'd morphed into a crazy cat lady sitting at home alone with her only gray tabby cat, Frisco, for company. Dr. James, it's time to leave for the radio station, Zoe, her office assistant, announced from the doorway behind her. Turning slightly, Kayden examined Zoe's new look, dark hair cut in a layered wispy bob with bangs, a sassy style that mirrored the woman's spunky personality. Thanks, I'll be ready to go in a minute. Kayden crossed the room to deposit her empty coffee cup on the desk and touch up her lipstick. You're gorgeous as always, but nobody's going to see you sitting in the studio, Zoe reminded her. She stepped forward and placed a manila folder on the large mahogany desk. The forms for your 11 o'clock appointment. New patients. Kayden finished adjusting her shirt collar. Thank you. She edged past Zoe. Wish me luck, she called over her shoulder, hurrying out of the office. You'll be fine, Zoe assured her. Kayden sucked in a quick breath and started upstairs to the radio station. Kayden settled into a chair beside the host and adjusted her microphone as the on-air sign illuminated. Wake up, Denver. This is Rocky Mountain Royce keeping you, our loyal KDEN listeners, company on your Friday morning commute. And joining me in the studio today to answer your steamiest questions about romance and relationships is local marriage and family therapist, Dr. Kayden James. Good morning. Now, listener audience, all you have to do is give us a call at 555-KDEN to find out what will make your love lives either sizzle or fizzle. Kayden rubbed a hand on her skirt when the phone lines lit up. Swiveling the chair, she flicked a glance at Royce, who gave her the thumbs up. Okay, caller. What's your name? Royce's voice boomed out around the small studio. Cassie. Hello, Cassie. What would you like to ask Dr. James? Well, my boyfriend says he loves me. That's awesome, but lately he's been pressuring me about, going all the way. How do I know if I'm ready? Kayden frowned. How old are you, Cassie? 14. Kayden considered the girl's response as Royce let out a slow, steady breath beside her. Cassie, listen to me. You should never let a boy talk you into doing something that doesn't feel right, especially when it comes to your body. But I'm afraid he'll break up with me if I don't give in, Cassie sniffled. For an instant, Kayden mentally transported herself to Liam's porch 15 years earlier when hot tears cascaded down her cheeks. Salty, wet splotches had stained her tank top before she descended the stairs and rode away on her bicycle. What should I do? Cassie asked. Kayden jolted out of her flashback. Returning to the conversation, her head throbbed from old wounds. Tell him you're worth the wait. If he walks away, then hold your head up high, knowing he was not worthy of you in the first place, or your love. Kayden paused, blinking back the looming anger and waterworks. no matter how badly your heart might ache. Yeah, Cassie said. I guess I needed to know it's okay to say no without being labeled a freak. You're not a freak, Kayden practically yelled into the microphone. In fact, I happen to believe you're a very special and courageous young lady for not giving in to peer pressure. Really? Kayden noted the hint of relief in Cassie's voice. Absolutely. Royce wished Cassie the best of luck and ended the call. Are you all right? You kind of zoned out here. I'm fine, just remembering what it felt like to be a teenage girl. Kayden forced a faint smile as he clicked the button for the next caller. Liam turned onto 14th Street near the main entrance to the University of Colorado's Denver campus. Frowning, he listened to the biting words of a familiar female voice emanating from the car speakers. Kayden James. Discerning the outright bitterness in her reply to Cassie only confirmed his suspicion that he'd hurt Kayden deeply back then. And for what? To save face? To salvage his bruised ego? He pounded the steering wheel and swerved into the parking garage adjacent to the Lawrence Street Center, which housed the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. Letting Kayden go was the stupidest thing he'd ever done. Liam sighed and reached for his briefcase lying on the seat beside him, debating whether or not he should walk the few blocks over to the radio station on 15th Street and... His train of thought quickly derailed. And do what? Apologize for having been a horny adolescent boy? Admit he'd thought about her every day since they broke up? He shook his head. No, he had no right to interfere in her life again, nor did he deserve a second chance after the way he'd mistreated her. His behavior toward Kayden had long been on his list of personal regrets, destined to haunt him for the rest of his life. With that painful realization, Liam climbed out of his silver Jeep Cherokee and slammed the door. He headed for his office, thankful he didn't have a class to teach for another hour. Perhaps by then he'd calmed down, but he doubted it. Dr. Kayden James. The name echoed in his mind as he paused at the stairwell leading out of the garage, gazing up at the 54-story Elway Plaza where the KDEN traffic copters circled in for a landing on the roof. He stared a long moment before letting the door close behind him and his fantasies.